You found yourself staring at a blank page again, unable to draw. Ah yes, the most common part of any artist's routine. Not knowing how to start, waiting for the inspiration to strike and for the magic to just begin. This happens for every discipline, be it character design, animation, drawing random floating characters in your sketchbook, and, yes, of course, storyboarding. Luckily for us storyboard artists, sometimes we have a starting point, the script. And sometimes this script is useful. So in an effort to help some of you out there, I'm gonna go through how I would start a storyboard and my process going from script to final panel, and maybe I'll throw in an animatic. And this is just about how I storyboard. Everyone's got their own method to their madness, but maybe you can incorporate some of my process into yours. Typically, when working for a studio, they would often, not always, provide you with a script. However, making a personal piece, unfortunately, you have to write your own, which is a beast in and of itself. For this video, I wrote a brief script about a page and a half long, something pretty simple but with a few locations and some character acting. It's about this young girl getting made fun of for believing in mermaids, and so she goes on this nighttime adventure to try to collect proof of the mermaid's existence. And now the first thing you want to do is, well, read through the script, preferably a few times. So I'll read through ours. Interior middle school classroom. 3 girls look down judgmentally at our main character Sophie, a shorter girl with short fringy hair. Do you really expect us to believe mermaids are real? Yeah, that's like stories for children. Sophie stands angrily holding up a book of mythology, open on a page of mermaids. What? Children? No, this is real. You'll see. Exterior suburbs day. Sophie walks down the street with determination in her eyes. I'll show them. Tomorrow, I'll prove it. Interior Sophie's home nighttime. Sophie prepares to sneak out of her room. She grabs her jacket, preps her flashlight, and other tools and puts them in her backpack, and begins psyching herself up to leave. Sophie sneaks out of her room, ducks past her parents, making sure not to make any noise. Exterior, base of the river at night. Sophie pushes a canoe into the river in the dead of night and jumps in behind it. The canoe slowly drifts into the cold fog. She holds up her flashlight and tries to make out what lurks beyond her light. Is anyone there? Any mermaids? I just want one photo and then I'll leave. Sophie gets no reaction. The river is silent. Sophie prepares to give up when she hears a small splash. Sophie looks around in a panic, trying to find the source of the noise. She suddenly sees a dark figure in the water. Sophie reels back into the back of the canoe and drops her flashlight. She hurries to pick it back up, trying to find a glimpse of the figure in the water. Who's there? I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll be going now. Sophie looks around nervously as she waves the flashlight around in desperation. The canoe suddenly stops dead in the water. A figure emerges near the canoe and grabs on. It's a mermaid, a blue figure with fins and long dark blue hair, no older than Sophie. She stares back at Sophie inquisitively. Why are you afraid? I thought you were looking for me. And that's our script. Okay, a few things going on here, but before I even touch a pencil, I'll literally spend a couple hours walking around just trying to picture the sequence in my head, playing it over and over like a movie, trying to just see what shots and acting ideas get me the most excited to jump in. I also try to figure out what the main goal of the story is, what makes the story compelling, and what parts I think I should focus on. For this script, I decided that focusing on our main character Sophie's determination and the actual mermaid expedition part of the story. Everything else can go by quickly, so we spend the bulk of the time on what I believe makes this story fun. Now, to get used to drawing the characters, I'll usually draw out the main characters a couple times. I don't need the perfect shorthand, I just need to find out how I want to draw them and get used to their shape language and individual personalities. This will help down the line when it comes to posing them quickly and efficiently. I'll draw out a few poses of our main character Sophie, and then also the mermaid. We can ignore everyone else and kind of make it up as we go on. Since this is a personal piece, we kind of have to play the role of a character designer also. As for a story, you kind of have to do everything. We can ignore everyone else and kind of just make it up as we go on. Okay, let's get into the script. I immediately realized there's a chunk of script that I don't even want in the storyboard. It kind of just tells us what the main character is thinking when we already know, and we would rather show it through the character's actions. So this whole chunk of Sophie walking home and talking to herself, yeah, I'm just gonna cut this whole thing out. It saves us time and drawing and helps the story move along. Alright, now let's start getting to it. Thumbnails. Here, I just quickly doodle 1 to 2 panel per scene scribbles to make sure that the storyboard flows coherently. I don't really focus on acting or any specifics other than some angry eyebrows or a smile. I really want to get this part down as efficiently as possible, so I can try out a bunch of different shots and move stuff around. Now, I made these thumbnails prettier for this video since my actual thumbnails are borderline illegible. But please do not go this clean for your thumbs. These are basically finished panels if you slapped some tone on them. I just need to make it readable for this video. I know I want to start with an establishing shot just to ground us in the world. Give us a sense of space and the time of day before cutting straight into the bullies. I could do a hard open right on their faces, but I would rather give the audience time to get settled. I may even add additional shots of the classroom stuff before cutting in. Here, I wanted to reveal our main character hidden behind her book. I thought this would be a fun acting choice and be a more surprising choice than just cutting directly to her face. I think this will speak more about her personality and her intensity about these mermaids. Now all this suburb stuff is cut. We will skip right to her house. Again, while I don't want to show too much random info, I feel a nighttime shot of her house will show us all we need to see to immediately register how much time has passed and where we are. Now, I initially had a thumbnail of her waking up to get ready, but I quickly realized I wanted us to leave the house as fast as possible and chose to cut it in favor of just having quick cuts of her packing up things, putting on her jacket, boots, grabbing her flashlight. I did have a shot in mind while walking around earlier of a flashlight clicking on, revealing her all ready to hunt a mermaid. I really thought this would be a cute little character moment and worth showing her hyping herself up to leave. When I reached this sneaking out section, I initially had a few shots of her sneaking out, and I realized I was having a similar issue as before. We are wasting time on something that ultimately is not adding anything to the story. While I still enjoyed the flavor that her sneaking out added, I cut this down to a single shot from the TV's POV that showed both her and her parents, and condensed all this information into a single shot. We love efficiency. I cut straight from the sneaking out right into a canoe hitting the water. I don't have time to mess around. I decided to keep this section slow and simply shot to try and build up suspense. A lot of this section will rely on more subtle character acting, and this is a job for future Daniel when he actually has to board this sequence. I kept having a shot in mind of her kind of backing into the corner of the boat and lifting up her flashlight, and it cutting to a POV of the flashlight. I opted for having her lean over the side of the canoe and getting scared of this passing figure hooking up to her backing up to the canoe. This scene ends with the mermaid casually coming out of the water and staring at Sophie. I wanted to completely cut the tension here. Again, selling this will come down to the character acting. Okay, now that all my thumbnails are complete, I can more or less go into the cleanups. I don't really like roughing anything past the thumbnail stage, so I just won't. As long as the panels are clear, that's really all that matters to us. Honestly, all the hard thinking part is kind of done. I ended up adding some more opening shots of the classroom as it seemed to just flow better and give us time to really get immersed in the world. But other than that, I mostly stayed true to the initial thumbs, which, I mean, was kind of the reason I did them. So I could focus on the drawing and acting and not worry about the story working at the same time. I added a slight gradient for each of the sections to imply time of day and a quick layer of tone. I color the eyes white just to make sure the characters are the highest point of contrast. But that's usually the extent of my toning. The only part that sort of concerned me was all these sections with the flashlight. And honestly, I went a little overboard with the toning in this section. I'm sorry, it just happens sometimes. It happens to everyone. So while definitely this is too much for a working storyboard, I wanted to get the vision from my head onto the page. So some of these panels are borderline rendered. For the sake of this video, let's call them presentation boards. This required a couple extra steps, but I basically just masked out the light and darkened the rest. At the end of the day, this will help add to the atmosphere. Speaking of atmosphere, the lake at night unfortunately needs to be foggy. I know, that's pretty annoying. It's another part that sadly story artists need to do. But it will add to the overall tone and can be done sorta quickly at the end. I usually tone a scene after I finish paneling it out, so I don't swap what I'm doing every 2 minutes. The only color I'll add to this whole sequence is on the mermaid. I usually avoid color, but it will help sell the mythicality of this mermaid. Honestly, sometimes tone can help rough drawings feel more finished and clean. And in my opinion, a rough drawing with tone looks better than just tied down line work. In the cleanup stage, I was able to have a lot more fun with the acting. I opted in to add several little character moments as I got into the sequence. During the boat section, I added in Sophie falling into the boat. I wanted to make the acting here more specific and speak about her personality in some kind of way. By adding in these little character moments, you can help elevate your storyboards. It kind of helps to make a unique choice with the acting to kind of surprise the audience. And it helps the characters feel a lot more endearing when character acting is specific to them rather than something more generic. So, here it is, the finished storyboard from script all the way to final panel.
No, it says right here. They're an amphibious mammal often found in bodies of fresh water.
Do you really expect us to believe mermaids are real?
Yeah, that's like stories for children.
What? Children? No, this is real. I'll prove it.
Hey, honey, how was school?
Can't talk, Mom. Ow! Whoa. Ooh. Hello? Is anyone there? Any mermaids? I just want one photo and then I'll leave. This is stupid. Huh? Hello? Who's there? I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll be going now. Please don't hurt me.
Why are you scared? Huh? I thought you were looking for me.
I hope you can see how cutting all the filler scenes helped keep the momentum of the story and helped narrow in what makes a story interesting. The girl hunting the mermaid. Always find what excites you about a story and use that as a guiding light for the sequence. I hope this look into my thought process will help you with your own work. Or maybe it was just interesting to watch. Whatever you can glean from this, good luck on your next storyboard or whatever project you have. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. Bye.